Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Goblin Ringleader podcast. Today, it's going to be the full Tarkir set review. We're going to be going over the whole thing. We're just going to be doing an audio check real quick on my phone. Sounds great. Cool. So we're going to be sharing my screen and jumping right into it. Tarkir Dragonstorm is fully released, and there's going to be a lot of ads on my screen. Sorry. I don't have ad blocker. I should pay for it. If you want me to get ad blocker on my on my computer, you can like and subscribe this video and comment, check, get ad blocker. We're very close to getting monetized. Once we get monetized, we can start providing more value from the channel, because up until this point, everything that I do has just been self-funded. I don't have any revenue streams. It's just me, all the effort that I put in, and I don't expect to make any money off of it. Any money that I do make from it will be reinvested into increasing the product value and the value that I can provide to you as a listener. So thank you for watching. Press those buttons if you feel like I deserve it. If not, comment what I can do to get better. To start it off, I kind of want to talk about the premier card of this set, Call of the Spirit Dragons. You may be thinking of Dracogenesis as the premier card of the set, but I think that Call is actually going to be the best one. Right now, with the way that Standard is, there's not a real good avenue for a 5-color mid-range strat to be viable. However, I could see with time, when they print more, because I guarantee you, they didn't design the mice set to take over without some safety valves, right? Domain might have been the first roadblock, but I guarantee you there's going to be something coming out in the Eldrazi set, if not the Final Fantasy set, that's going to challenge mice for supremacy. And even right now, the bounce deck, a pile of commons and uncommons, is challenging the mouse deck, and is actually having a higher win percent or play percentage. So what I'm thinking is going to happen eventually, people are going to find a pile of 5-color dragons that will be playable in Standard. You play like the best removal, spot removal, and then you play a bunch of dragons that give you value on ETBs. This enchantment, if you ramp into it or if you cheat it into play somehow, gives you the ability to Wrath of God in your 5-color deck while keeping your dragons alive. And then in your upkeep, if you have dragons, you just make them bigger. So I could see a 5-color mid-range strat, and it's probably going to be clunky. It's probably going to be slow. It might take a couple bannings for it to rise to prominence, but I think that this card is sneakily one of the best enablers in this set for the 5-color dragons pile, which I think is everyone's dream of this set. So it might be a little bit unhinged. It might be a spicy take, but I think Call of the Spirit Dragons is going to end up to be a really important card in Standard eventually, even if it's not amazing or super great right now. Now, if we scroll back up, well, avert your eyes. I don't want to give you a headache. If we scroll back up, I think the second card that I want to talk about is the Elspeth. Elspeth, really quick. It's a panharmonic, or it's a anointed procession that also makes tokens and can lord all of your creatures, give them flying, and it can pop your opponent's Shieldred. Or insert best card here. Like, you need to kill Azure, you kill Azure. You need to kill an Overlord of the Mistmoors, kills that. Like, you have spot removal to weather the early game, and you hit all their little stuff. And then they start slamming their haymakers. Elspeth shoots all of them sequentially. So I think that Elspeth is going to be a really important card in Standard if you're playing white at all. I think that Elspeth is going to be a staple in your deck. And it's going to be really important to, it reminds me of the old Elspeth, the 6-mana one, where you uptick to make tokens. It's very similar. It's one mana cheaper. My dream with this card is to tap a Krenko, like turn 5. Like, you have nothing. You play Krenko on turn 4, you pass. Somehow you're not dead. Turn 5, you play Elspeth, soldiers, then you tap Krenko, and you make 1 goblin because you only have Krenko, but still you make 2 because Elspeth doubles it, and then next turn you get to go off. So I'm thinking about brewing with it in goblin, and I know that there's better decks out there for it, and that's the beautiful thing about it. The card's so strong that I could in goblins and maybe sneak some wins. So Elspeth, I think, is going to be a really important card in Standard. I think we should at least talk about Dracogenesis. So basically, 8 mana, Rooftop Storm for dragons. we saw Dragonstorm back in OG Standard way back when be super, super good. And so I think if that 5-color Dragons deck that I was talking about before, like it exists, right? Maybe they're like base green, red. And then they're like base teamer splashing black and white, and then you ramp into your you ramp in into that call this the 5 mana enchantment. Then you ramp into this one, Dracogenesis. You ramp into your Dragonback Assault, which is just a 6 mana, deal 3 damage to each creature in each planeswalker, and then landfall make 4/4 dragons. So there's a lot of like built-in stuff. If you just go like Llanowar Elves into like cultivate, you don't even need to go like cultivate, right? You just like ramp spell into ramp spell, insert ramp here. I think that there's a possibility for the it to be a base green and then just splash the other 4 colors, ramp into the colors that you need, and then just slam your big dumb dragons. If you're ramping, the Dragonback Assault also gets better. So these dragon enchantments, I think, are like secretly going to be the bread and butter that holds that dragon deck together. And we're talking standard, but like the same principles apply to like all the older formats, right? Like maybe in Pioneer, there's better tools so that you can do it more efficiently. Maybe in Modern, there's something that you can do to cheat them into play more efficiently. We actually have Dragonstorm, so if we're able to like cast Dragonstorm for free, I think like it could the sky's the limit for the upside. So I'm done rambling about dragons. I am a brewer at heart, so I'm really excited to see how things shape out with the dragon deck. Other card I really want to touch on is Craterhoof Behemoth. You know what it does. Did you also know that we have Llanowar Elves and Elvish Archdruid in Foundations? They literally gave it to us. And in this set, not only do we have Craterhoof Behemoth, which is the payoff for the elf deck, we also have Nature's Rhythm, which is a double green X sorcery that's Chord of Calling. You don't get to convoke it, but you get to harmonize it. So I'm seeing like a scenario where you go like turn 1, I'm going to go Llanowar Elves. Turn 2, I'm going to cast my Elvish Archdruid. Turn 3, I'm going to untap. Archdruid taps for 2 because I have 2 elves. Then you have the Llanowar Elves. So your dorks tap for 3. Then you play your 3rd land. You have access to 6 mana. You can Nature's Rhythm for 4, but you're only going to do it for 3. You grab another Elvish Archdruid, and then next turn, right, you can go harmonize. You go, I have my 4th land. All my Archdruids tap for 3, and my Llanowar. So that's 7 among the dorks, plus the 4 is 11. You can go, it's 4 less is 7. X is 7. You're 1 short of Craterhoof. But again, that's like turn 4. That's like this card by itself allowing you to grab your your ramp, and then your big dumb thing. So I think Nature's Rhythm is a card that people are like, oh, it's not Chord, oh, it's not Finale of Devastation, but like the flashback, the harmonized mode is going to be really important. And also just being able to like be a green less than Chord. Chord is an instant as well, which is much better, but like just going to be a little bit cheaper, and you're going to be able to like grab your Craterhoof for 1 less mana, and that's gonna really matter sometimes. Another card that I'm super super excited about is Voice of Victory, which we already talked about. If you want to go see a more in-depth presentation of this with my brother Cole, we did the first half of the set when it originally came out. It's in the Jack and Cole podcast. If you enjoy Magic podcasts, go check that out. But really high level, 2 mana 1/3 that attacks for 3 because it makes 2/1/1s when it attacks that have tapped and attacking. Sack them at the end step. But your opponents just can't cast spells during your turn. So this is like a Grand Arbiter, Grand Abolisher style effect where you're just like, here's a creature that is going to keep you from casting spells during my turn. I have the ability now to just do whatever I want and potentially just kill you because you can't stop me. So this card's super cool. Clarion Conqueror, 3 mana dragon. Its activated abilities just cannot be activated. So that's creatures, artifacts, and planeswalkers. So this is the 3 mana dragon that just turns off Ugin. Super strong. So of like the newer cards that we haven't talked about, we talked about all the dragons. I think the dragons are overall very splashy, and you're going to need to be in like a dragon deck, or it's going to be the top end of your super efficient mid-range deck, or you're just not going to play them. The enchantments in this set are super pushed. All Out Assault is double comp. Dragonback Assault is just a bunch of board wipe. Death Beget Life is as close as you're ever gonna get to a is a Decree of Pain in standard. It is literally Decree of Pain. Dress Guide Revelation's really bad. It's kind of cool though. Premonition, the worst card in the set, 1000%. It's cool. It's really sweet, but it's a little bit too expensive. It's a little bit too splashy on colors. It's not really going to be able to do the thing you want to do. Like you can bring back an Omniscience, right? But like, that's not even good enough anymore. Maybe this is how the 5-color dragons deck reanimates the Dracogenesis for cheap, but I doubt it. The other cards that I'm really excited about, this Goblin is a 1-mana 1/1 with Mobilize 1, so it attacks for 2. It gets ETB triggers on attack, which is really nice if you have like a Blood Artist style effect or something along that lines. Like you either have a Blood Artist or a Impact Tremors. Then you deal a bunch of damage. Also, it's going to be my Munitions Expert because you can pay 2 mana, sack it, deals damage equal to target creature. Sack it. It deals damage to target creature equal to the number of goblins you control. My words did not want to work. And so sometimes you're just going to play it for 3 mana to shoot something for 4, and that's going to feel great. Again, all the dragons are big and splashy. I think the Storm Shell is really cool with the new Spider-Man. This is a commander thing because that Spider-Man's only in commander. But yeah, attacks, put 3 stun counters on it, and draw 3 cards. So like if you get to like play the Izzet Siege and you choose the one that gives all your creatures haste, you play this, it immediately gains haste, attack, draw 3 cards. It gets 3 stun counters, but like let's say you have a way to like forcibly untap it. Or with that Spider-Man, you remove the 3 stun counters and draw 3 cards, which is very strong. Skig is really cool. Tersa Light cool. This is the second mode on Fable, and then when it attacks, there's 7 more cards in your graveyard. Exile a random card, and you may play it. Avenger, another really cool 3-drop. I'm really excited to see whether or not the red-black X deck pans out because there's just so many cool tools. Magmatic Hellkite might see play in Eternal. 4-mana 4/5 dragon that kills a land, and then they get a land, but it's stunned, so they just can't use it next turn. It's like sometimes you only need that 1 turn to slow them down, and then you just kill them. Especially if you're playing against a control deck. You take away one of their white sources, they don't just get that white source, and they don't have removal, and then you win. All these breaching enchantments, I feel like are going to be really important, or all these Dragonstorm enchantments are going to be really important because if you have a dragon deck, right, you're just going to be playing dragons every turn, and then you need a way to like play them for free or something. But like if you gas out, you always have these enchantments back in your hand. This is the best example where you play it, you get a thing, or you exile a non-land, right? If the dragon enters, you just pick it right back up, and then you have it again for next turn, right? It like always ensures that you're going to get a dragon out of your deck. Or you could hit your Dragonstorm and then just storm off. So I think that if they're ramping, they're probably not going to ramp, but like if they're playing just like a bunch of good dragons, right? They play this and then they just kind of like storm off. This could be also the storm card in this. They could like cheat this into play, and then they have a percentage chance of hitting dragon or Dragonstorm, and then if they hit Dragonstorm, they just win. If they hit dragon, they're just grinding. It's a mid-range deck. Shocking Sharpshooters are super high on. This is basically our Impact Tremors. 2 mana 1/3 with reach. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to target opponent. It does target, so they can gain hexproof, and it doesn't work. But like I'm imagining, I tap a Krenko with an Elspeth out, and I make like 10 tokens, and I dome them for 10. I don't even need to attack; they're just dead. It feels really good. Besides that, I feel like a lot of these cards we've already talked about. If we go back down to the multicolor spells, I feel like the multicolor spells are super important. Flamehold Grappler is going to be like super exciting if people figure out a way to brew with it. It's a 3-mana 3/3 first strike. When it enters, copy in the next cast this turn. When you cast it, you may choose new targets for the copy. So if you plot this, if you are able to like make it like cheap, like you need to try to figure out a way to like break this card. But if people can brew around it and break it, it's going to be insane. I feel the same way about Marty's Siegebreaker, which is 4 mana for a 4/4 with Death Touch and Haste. When this creature enters, you exile up to one other target creature you control until this creature leaves the battlefield. When this creature attacks, for each opponent, create a tapped token that's a copy of the exiled card that's attacking that opponent. You sack it up the next game. So if you have like a crazy ETB or something you want to protect, okay. So I had to let the dog in. Okay. Mardu Siegebreaker is insane. Like you choose your best threat and you get a copy of it that they have to either like block or deal with somehow every turn. And then when they finally do kill this thing, you get your original threat back. And it's really busted with ETBs. What's so funny? This art has a snake in it. And I think that the card that's sneakily the best with this is Rotten Mouth Viper. Rotten Mouth Viper. Mouth Viper MTG. I just want a good picture. Come on. Okay, so Rotten Mouth Viper is a 6 mana 6/6. When it enters or attacks, you put a blight counter on it. Then, for each blight counter on it, each opponent loses 4 life unless that player sacks a non-land permanent or discards a card. So you only get to do it once, right? It's only one blight counter because it's only triggering on the ETB, not on the attack. But you get a 6/6, and then when they finally do kill it, you like get the original one back. There's probably a lot better cards to play with it, but that's where my mind goes to it with it. Also, Thunder of Unity. There's like a couple impact tremors in this set. So on Thunder of Unity is a 3 mana saga. Chapter 1 is you draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. It's basically Read the Bones minus the Scry. Chapter 2 and 3 is whenever a creature you control enters, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. So it's basically Blood Artist on a saga for 2 turns after your Read the Bones, which I feel like is an amazing rate. I think this is probably the best saga out of this group, followed by the Roar of the Endless Song, which is 5 mana, make a 5/5 for chapter 1 and 2, and then in chapter 3 you double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. And that feels very strong. Like baseline, right? They can get chump blocked, but I'm imagining, right, you have other cards, you have other effects to give your creatures trample, right? Because you're playing Teamer. You're going to make 2 5/5s and then double them. That's 20. If you can just figure out a time to have your opponent's board completely wiped, like you double the power and toughness of each creature you control, and then you play that 6 mana Dragonstorm card that deals 3 damage to everything. You wipe their board and you attack for 20. You just needed to play 2 cards that whole game, right? Like you definitely died. But again, this is like magical dreamland we're talking about. Narset, Jeskai Waymaster, 3 mana 3/4. I think this card is going to be really busted with the new monument that cares about when you discard cards, as well as like the whole Aether Drift synergy of like discard cards get value. Because every end step you can discard your hand and then draw cards equal to the number of spells you cast this turn. If you have like 1 or 2 cards in your hand, right, and you're just like playing a bunch of like really cheap like discard matter spells, like you play Mako, you're playing like the monument's giving you treasures so that you can like play a bunch of other stuff. End step you discard like 2 cards, right? You get your discard triggers, play like maybe Crypt Caller, you make some tokens when you discard cards too. Jeskai Black if your mana is good enough. I just feel like this card has a super high ceiling, like a 3 mana 3/4 that allows you to draw cards. And then discard matters a lot right now. There's like a lot of sneaky good discard matters synergies, and I think this is going to be a really good enabler. Zergo, talk about good enablers. Zergo is going to be really busted with the mobilize mechanic. If you can keep this thing around, this is going to make a mini army like immediately. You like already have your 1-drop goblin that attacks and mobilizes. You already have your 2-drop that attacks and mobilizes. You play this turn 3, you attack for the 2, you mobilize 2, but then you just keep the warriors. The next turn you can play like the impact tremors or like whatever else you want. There's a lot of hidden synergies with Zergo, and I feel like this is going to be a must-answer threat. It's going to be hard though because it has 4 toughness. It doesn't die to bolt or lightning strike, so we're going to see how that pans out. Severance Priest, I just want to touch on really lightly because this is an old Fiendslayer card-esque card, where you can flicker this in response to the first trigger to just not have the second trigger ever happen. You cast it, it enters, trigger goes on the stack to look at their hand. You flicker it, it comes back. Then when it comes back, the second trigger goes in the stack, and then you do the first trigger again. And then the second time that you do it, the clause resolves. However, the first time that it entered will not give them an XX because it left before it entered. And so there's a lot of really crazy synergies you can do with stuff like this where it's templated in two separate clauses. There's a couple cards in the set that are really sweet because they don't have like the usual safety valves that they put on cards. This card's really cool. 4 mana, 3/3, enters if you cast it, mill 4. When you do, return a creature card, mana value 3 less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Siege Rhino, anybody? The baby Siege Rhino? We'll talk about that in a second. No safety valves we were talking about 2 seconds ago. 4 mana, 3/3 flyer. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, create a treasure token. Okay, so it says or more, right? You don't just get that many treasures. However, if you have increments of 1 that you do, right, the token doesn't enter tapped. So as long as you have a way to consistently mill yourself, right, the tokens pay for the way to exile the cards. So you can make a pretty simple, pretty easy loop. And then if you add one other outlet, you win the game pretty fast. Frontline Rush is really cool because you can instant speed, make the 2 gal. It's Raise the Alarm, which I'm not a fan of, but the pump mode I think is going to make this card huge because there's a lot of times when I'm attacking with 7/1/1s and they can't block all of them. The one that they're not going to block, that's the one that gets +7/+7, and that'll win me the game super fast. I think this is going to push us into Boros for sure. Also, the Mardu tokens strategy and the Goblin strategy are very similar, so I'm really interested to see how that's going to pan out. Skirmish Rhino, Baby Rhino is really good. Besides that, a lot of really interesting commons and uncommons. Ugin's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be as dominating as the old one was in Standard. I think that it's going to need to be built around, and we'll see if there's a colorless deck in the Standard, right? Otherwise, this card is going to make waves in older formats for sure, but we'll have to see what happens. I'm really interested to see what happens in like Legacy and Modern because Eldrazi is already like a huge deck right now, and so I want to see what happens with that. Mistrise Village, we'll see if there's a combo deck that can make a resurgence because now their stuff can't be countered. We got the uncommon lands that I wanted because now, even if we're going to complain about them, decks that want to play 3 or 4, maybe even 5 colors have to play 3-color lands. And if we have these as 3-color lands, we got to take them. Besides that, beautiful art. And yeah, this has been the Tarkir full set review. Just jamming through it, talking about everything that I can. I really appreciate y'all watching. I'll be back on later with the Standard grind, or the Modern grind, or the Legacy grind. I made a poll earlier. If you want to be a part of deciding what I'm going to stream tonight, go interact over in that poll. If you like the video, then that helps me know that you enjoy interacting with the, or if you like the poll, that helps me know that you like interacting with the content. And if you don't like the poll, that's totally fine. Just give me your input, and depending on what wins, I'll do that stream tonight. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, this has been Goblin Ringleader, and I hope you have a beautiful night.